Yeah, I would get used to it. I don't think there's going to be too many ones where we blow the doors off and coast easily into the finish line. So they're all going to be nail biters, I have a feeling.
Really stretched Thomas out tonight, almost 120 pitches. Was that kind of your decision? Was he yelling at you? You wanted to keep the ball? What was it?
It was Tommy's a strong kid, and I think we ramped him up the right way to where he was capable of doing that. It was I think he faced probably 2 more hitters than I wanted him to, just based on the matchup there. We wanted to try and get the 9-hole hitter out there, and if we couldn't, then we knew we were going to have him face the right-hander at the top again before we got to the lefty where we could bring Fitz in. Because we wanted that matchup. It just unfortunately threw about 10 or 12 more pitches to those 2 guys. So, a couple hitters too long. I started seeing the breaking ball flatten out a little bit. Knew he was getting a little bit tired, but thought he could dig deep and get through that. 118 pitches. That's probably as far as we'll go with him.
What did you make of their pitchers? They went kind of pitch for pitch at times, and your lineup's resiliency to wait and kind of push them until they finally bring in a guy at the end that you can get some hits off of.
It was their starter came out and threw. He had we knew he had good stuff, but we didn't think he had 96 in the tank like he had tonight, and came out firing bullets pretty good. That we kind of said, hey, he's throwing harder than we thought. Get it ready earlier. We were able to get his pitch count up, there with quite a few walks early on. He settled in and threw the ball pretty well and had some good stuff. But, on the same token, we're we got to get better offensively than we are right now. So, we'll take the win certainly and be happy for that. But we understand we got to get better in a lot of areas.
Did those A&M games kind of prepare the lineup for this, facing a pitching staff where they're, going to get into a slump?
Well, I think as a whole, everybody we played, here early on has kind of tested us in one way, shape, or form. There's been some arms that we've handled pretty well, but then there's been some guys that have pretty good stuff that we've actually handled well, and then there's some that we just flat out left the bats on the airplane and didn't show up. But that's baseball at times, and I think our offense is capable of doing a lot better than we have been the past week or so. We are, again, being battle tested, and we're facing good arms and good teams. And like I said, there's not going to be any breeze into the finish line for us, I don't think, with the teams that we're playing. We're going to have to ratchet down the screws and be ready to have a dogfight for 27 outs. So, but again, we're capable of more, and I think we definitely have to get better.
Given seeing Brandon's first 2 at bats, 2 home runs.
Yeah, Comp is doing. What more can you say? He's doing outstanding and swinging the bat good. He's hitting lefties well as righties. So he's you can't ask much more from him. He's been doing outstanding.
Given the nature of some of the close games that you're going to expect more of them, the bullpen has had a lot of positive performances the last couple of games, even the last week or so. What do you sort of attribute to this, what seems to be a turning of a corner a little bit?
Well, I think the win-loss record in Texas wasn't great, but the bottom line is the bullpen was one of those shining spots that we came out of that with. That guys are starting to find their roles. I think us as a coaching staff are starting to figure out where to use guys, who's capable of doing what, and I've said it all along, we got a lot of freshmen out there, right? And they're starting to get a little more comfortable now as we move forward. I think you just see the confidence of Carlone, a guy like that, coming in and just starting to walk around with a little swag, and Fitzy's starting to find his role. Schieffer's starting to find his groove a little bit. Halvey's starting to throw the ball well. So when we knew that those guys were going to have some growing pains, and that's not to say they're over. I mean, they're still going to have some ups and downs, but I think each time they toe the rubber, they're getting more and more comfortable. And again, us as coaches are starting to figure out which guys fit into which roles a little bit better.
Like matchups, that sort of thing in terms of situational decisions to put them in here against these guys, or especially with Fitzpatrick? It seems like you've put him in some.
Fitzy's is a prime example on, we thought, as I said, we stretched Burnsy out there to try to get him, to the lefty. Obviously, they pinch hit and threw the switch hitter up there, but we had confidence that he could get that guy out if he switched over to right-handed. We knew it was going to be a roll of the dice if we could get the next righty out. I think that was Smith, but then we liked the matchup, with the next left-hander with Hurd. So, it's one of those things that was our best guy at that moment of the game, and we thought that he was the best man for that job. And we obviously don't like him walking or running right there, but on the same token, he limited the damage really well. That could have been an ugly inning.
Is that the biggest thing that you've seen with these freshmen, that confidence? Because it looked like when Carlone came in that inning, compared to what with Kansas State, I mean, it looked like night and day, where he was just a lot more confident controlling.
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is brand new for a lot of these guys, and we're asking our freshmen to do a lot. We understand that, and we understand what that means. I think we were talking about it. We faced one freshman arm down in Texas, and that was the guy we scored 5 or 6 runs off of. So no one else is throwing freshmen out there, at least to the extent that we are. But we understand that if we're going to do what we want to do, these kids got to get experience, and they got to get it early, and hopefully they settle in. Which, fingers crossed, they continue to improve and get more and more confident every time they go out.
How do you think a freshman leading bullpen like that gives you an advantage over other teams?
Well, I don't. Obviously, the track record is not there for people to use the scouting report on. But on the other hand, the more and more, like I said, the more and more confident we can get these guys, and the more experience they got. Hopefully, we got them here for a long time. So, hopefully they continue to grow and get better and get more confident and bigger, stronger, faster. And by the time they leave here, hopefully they're big time studs. So, and they're coming into their own pretty quickly, which is great.
You mentioned confidence, and obviously you're trying to give it to me, but how do you feel that they're helping each other with the confidence, because they're all, like you said, kind of going through the fire at the same time?
Yeah, I think it's they're in this together, and the team's in this together, and we have guys that I know want to pitch that aren't, and we have players that want to play that aren't. But at the end of the day, it's about us. It's about the team. Like we know, the message after the game was, we know we didn't play well today, but guess what? We won, and we lock arms together, and it's about us winning and coming out on top. And guess what? We all feel pretty good when we win. We don't look at the individual stuff as the negative. We look at the team success as the positive, and we're going to try to focus on that. But these guys going through it together is what it's all about.
On the hitting side of those freshmen, Ethan Mendoza with another pretty big game tonight. What was your confidence level, him going out with a chance to walk it off, and how does that kind of speak to his maturity as a freshman that he was able to finish the job?
Well, I mean, having an 0 for 5, but the game winner will work, I guess, at times. Ethan's been swinging the bat really well, and we're thrilled to have him doing what he's doing right now. And he's got an extremely bright future, and with the way he's able to swing the bat. And even we had Nick coming up there, and they brought in a new pitcher to face him. Just kind of had that feeling. I wanted to keep him locked in. That I said, hey, you're gonna win this thing, right? And even though we got our big guns coming up with Nick and Toby, I wanted him to stay focused. That hey, this could come down to me. And I kind of told him, even when he was in the hole, I said, hey, you're gonna win this thing. I said, stay locked in and be ready to win this game. And he just kind of looked at me like, yeah, no kidding. I'm like, okay, you're not nervous, I guess, so that's good. Yeah, he's been doing a great job.
He told us that he was excited going up into that at bat. Have you ever seen that kind of confidence in a freshman?
The good ones, yeah. The guys that I've played with, through over the years, the rookies, the guys that have their, in pro ball, rookies versus freshmen, the guys that have that confidence and want to be in those situations are usually the ones that are going to get it done. The ones that are kind of looking for over their shoulder for, nah, man, you live for those situations. So he's that type of kid that wants those situations and wants to be in there, I think, and he's kind of got that hit factor, which is pretty cool.
What have you seen in the way that he's kind of grown up from the time that he stepped on campus to, Texas where he just had a coming out party, and now tonight where he gets the big hit to seal the deal?
It's, again, there's, first time you step on campus away from home, a couple of states away, you don't have mom doing your laundry and cooking for you, and you got to figure out all those things on your own, and you're meeting a new group of guys for the first time, and there's a bunch of alpha males in here that you're trying to figure out where you roll and where you fit in with these guys. That's a huge adjustment for freshmen to come in this type of program, but the way he's made some massive leaps here this past month, right before the season started, you can kind of see him starting to come into his own and say, man, I'm as good as these guys. I can play here and I can do this, and just the confidence has continued to show with him, and I think he's only going to get better.
Was that confidence part of why you recruited him in the first place? That's something that you noticed trying to get him here?
I noticed him hitting line drives all over the ballpark. That's why I recruited him. When I first brought him out here to a camp, and just he wanted an opportunity. He was a smaller kid that hadn't grown into his body yet, but saw him hit and saw him field. I'm like, man, this kid's good. How come nobody in Texas is on this kid? And there's got to be some catch here. And I called around about him, and everybody said he's a great character, great makeup kid. And I'm like, well, he's not even shaving yet. He's going to grow into that body. He's going to get stronger and more physical. And with that bat speed already the way it is, I'll take my chances on him. So we got him on board, and he just kept on getting better and better. And there's a lot of people, when he came here after his senior year, a lot of scouts and people that I know down in Texas, like, dude, you got the best hitter out of Texas, I think. So if not one of the top hitters in Texas, which is saying something, because there's some good players down there. So, but we're happy to have him. We're thrilled to have him, and like I said, I think his future is extremely bright.
Certainly, he's earned himself that kind of praise in this kind of spot as a key cog in the lineup. But it's hard to kind of figure that he didn't get these everyday opportunities because Duke and Travis went out of this back issue. How do you see Ethan continuing in the lineup once New is healthy, and any update on New you can give us?
Yeah, it's we're going to be without New for a while, unfortunately, and so that stings, that hurts from a team standpoint. It hurts. His diagnosis, I need to wait before it's final, but we need to be prepared to move along without him for a significant amount of time, which is disappointing. And I know he's upset. We're all upset because he's a heck of a player, and I appreciate how he tried to gut it out, early on with it. But indications are that might have been worse than we thought. So with that door somewhat closing, another one opens, and Ethan's going to get significant amount of playing time as long as he keeps doing what he's doing. Jax Ryan's going to get some playing time. Mario DeMera, Arstetter. We're going to find out the best mix over there at third base that can help us. So those guys are going to get opportunities until someone nails it down.
So there's a competition at third base now?
Heck yeah, there's competition every day. So we're going to go with the best guys that give us a chance to win.
How long of a competition is that going to be until you kind of find this is our everyday third baseman?
Well, I think until somebody nails it down and plays good defense and starts putting together solid at bats and does little things right that helps us win games. And maybe that's a mix of guys. I'm not sure. We'll see. But guys are going to get opportunities to step up there. We got no other choice.
Does that mean multiple guys coming in this weekend at third base?
We'll talk about it, but I think you'll probably see a couple different names in at third base throughout the weekend.
With Ryan Schieffer, and it seems like he's been a revelation for you guys out of the bullpen, and the jump that he's needed to make from JUCO now to D1 and Pac-12 ball. What have you seen from him, the intangibles, beyond just sort of the technical, his stuff, just what he brings to the team in the day-to-day, and how that reflects the success he's had?
Quiet confidence, I think is the biggest thing for him. He's not a real vocal guy. He just kind of goes about his business to to the point where, you know, in the fall and early on in the spring, I'm like, man, you gotta pick it up. Like, are you here with us? Yeah, I'm good, Coach, I'm good. And then, you know, so he ends up, was one of those guys that's just kind of been a guy that doesn't require a lot of attention or exude a lot of attention. He just kind of goes about his business. And, you know, there was early on in the fall, he was getting lit up a little bit, and we're like, I don't know if he's kind of got the stuff, but, you know, since we've come back from the break, he's really picked it up and thrown the ball extremely well, clearly, and really is one of our more trusted arms out there in the pen right now.
What's it say about you guys in recruiting that you're willing to take the shot on, you know, between the JUCO guys that are transferring in with Schieffer and guys like Mendoza who just aren't getting a lot of looks in high school, that you guys are willing to kind of take the shot on the dark horse and bring him in and develop him here?
Well, you know, I think that's, you know, trying to find these guys early on, I think, before we get into a bidding war with some of these other schools that have deeper pockets than we do.
It helps with NIL.
I mean, NIL is, hey, it is what it is. That it's, there's schools that have a lot of it, and there's schools that don't, and we have to figure out ways to be successful. And so, to answer your question, that's sometimes we got to take a chance on some of these guys that we see as potential. And you know, I don't think Sam Peraza gets enough, I guess, praise for working with some of these guys and getting the most out of them. You know, everyone wants to point at other things, unfortunately, with him, but he does a great job with these guys and taking some of these guys that are essentially at the end of their rope with somewhere else and brings them in here, and these guys are successful for us. So, case in point, last year in all the transfer portal arms that get drafted and move on here. So Sammy's doing a good job with those guys.
You had mentioned with Ethan, like when you're recruiting him, why aren't more guys on, like more programs pursuing him? It seems like with Thomas, that was that same sort of feel where you guys got ahead of it on the recruiting trail. To what extent has that been a help to build the roster that you have right now? You know, from the point you were hired to now, the 3-year plan, sort of.
I think, again, that's, everyone's got to find their niche. Have we found our niche? I don't know, maybe. We're starting to find it, but we do know that, again, not to beat a dead horse, we're going to have a hard time competing with the big dollar transfer portal guys. So we're going to have to get on the flip side, the younger guys early and get the ones we want and get them in here, and then retain them. And that's going to be our challenge. So develop them and then retain them. That's how we're going to have to find our niche and be successful. Doesn't mean we can't dabble in the portal from now and again, but it's only going to get more and more competitive, I think, with the way things are going. So we have to find what's going to make us successful as a program. Get the right type of kid that wants to be here, that understands what Arizona State can benefit, how they can benefit them, what kind of coaching they're going to get and development they're going to get, and hopefully this is a place that they call home and love it here and flourish and do well, and move on and help us win a lot and then get drafted and move on to the next level. That's kind of been the recipe here for a long time, and that's what you know, that's where we have to do our homework on the front end and get the right type of kids that want to be here.
To what extent do you have to balance that sort of focus with what you can do right now versus what the sort of long-term picture is with college baseball? And you mentioned the big dollar programs in terms of building the NIL opportunities, presence, I guess, at this program.
Well, I think you look at, you got to control what you can control. That's what we preach to our guys on the field, and I think we got to take the same page as coaches. We have to control what we can control. Can we go out and buy our players? No, we can't. But we can control the recruiting on the front end. We can control the high school kids. We can, you know, still, like I said, we can dabble in the right type of portal kids that want to come here for the right reasons. And as we hopefully continue to grow our NIL and that fund, then maybe we do get a little more competitive in that market. But as of right now, we control the things we can and do the best we can with what we have to work with.
Are you open to bringing in like those big names, or is that kind of just like you're not even paying attention to that? You're more focused on what can come in?
I think we're focused on our guys right now. Once we get to that point and end of the year and the season's over, we'll look at the next thing and on who we can. And you know, we've gotten some pretty dang good players out of the portal. Luke Keishel and Harris Williams, and you know, those guys have come in here because they are the right type of kid and they want to do it for the right reasons. They're not worried about the money they're going to find in their ashtray one day, you know, and when they, from NIL money. You know, Luke Keishel made a lot of money coming here and doing it the right way. So those are the type of kids we're after. Give me an opportunity. We understand what Arizona State can do for me if I go in and do it right. And you know, a guy like Keishel is a perfect example of what this place can do for you when you come in and play the right way and do the right things. So he's already making a name for himself in pro ball and doing a great job. So happy for him.
Schiefer told us about his relationship with Anthony Gillich. What kind of do you see from that as the head coach's standpoint? How do you think it's helped Schiefer be so successful here so far this season?
I mean, I think having some familiar faces, you know, Trey Newman, Gilly, of course, you know, some of those guys that he's familiar with, and you know, Gilly's obviously helped me with how to manage, you know, the mentality that he has and you know, the best ways to go about getting the most out of him, or at least, you know, and some of the mistakes maybe Gilly had with him because he didn't pitch a lot for him last year, but how I can adjust and have him be successful for us. So he's, but yeah, Sheaf is coming into his own, and it's pretty cool to see.
And back to Keishel just for a second, the making a lot of money coming here, you mean the formula of coming here, getting drafted early round, and sort of getting your money after college, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, you know, he had opportunities to go elsewhere and make some NIL money, but he knew he wanted to come here, play for, you know, infield coaches like Mike Goff and myself, and knew if he came in and did it right, that where we stand in the market for spring training all around us and the exposure that we have and all that type of stuff, you come in here and play right and do it well at this level, you're gonna make, you know, you're gonna make it in the long run. And I think, you know, with his signing bonus, whatever it was, I don't know the exact number, but it's, you know, a heck of a lot more than any type of NIL crumbs that they were gonna throw at him somewhere else. So yeah, that's the formula. Come in here and play it right and do it right, you're gonna be happy in the long run.
Based on what you knew about Brandon Compton when you recruited him and off of his summer league performance, would you say that you expected this success from him so far this season?
We recruited Comp more as a pitcher. So what's that say about us, I guess? And we knew he could swing it too, but we actually, in high school, we recruited him more as a really good arm first, a good left-handed pitcher first that could play center field. And once upon a time, Brandon Compton could run really well in the outfield, and that was kind of a secondary thing. That yeah, he had a nice swing and could hit a little bit, but we liked the left-handed arm, you know, coming in here. Of course, when we got him, he had Tommy John before he got here, and he made a body transformation and put on 35 pounds of muscle and picked up a bat and started hitting the ball really hard. And he still throws really hard too, and I haven't given up on the pitching side of him as well. He's still a mid 90-mile-an-hour arm from the left side. We just got to hone him into the zone a little bit more. But he's been a tremendously pleasant surprise on the offensive standpoint with what he's been doing, and nobody works harder than that kid. He's in the weight room, he's in the cage all the time, working on his swing. And like I said on the radio a little bit ago, his care meter is through the roof. Kid bleeds maroon and gold. He cares about this place, wants to be good, and so when that happens to a young man that puts that kind of hours and effort into it, it's pretty cool to see.
Is that something he did on his own, the body transformation, or was that something that you guys had talked about with him?
He did it on, you know, obviously we're like, hey man, when you're hurt or, you know, gonna redshirt, you're not on vacation, you still need to do something while you're here, and he kind of took it to another level. And there was actually a point in time where Comp, you're getting too big, dude. Like you look like a middle linebacker. Like, Kenny's gonna start recruiting you over there. You gotta settle down because you're getting too muscle bound and big. And that was serious. Like he was like, gosh dang, he's not moving very good. He's getting so huge. But he's obviously he kind of has backed off a little bit now where he's kind of getting more supple and whippy again, and obviously the numbers are, I mean, anybody else hits those 2 balls he did into the wind tonight, they don't go out of the ballpark, but when he's that strong, that's where it pays dividends.
Thanks, Willie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.